Nets, YouTubes, and Fit Fam. Matt here with Andrea, yogi extraordinaire and very gifted athlete. It is a gorgeous day out here. Look at this gal. She's about to inflate the kayak and have some fun. Back to it. So we're running through a very athletic circuit, starting with strength, and we're prioritizing our exercises based on Andrea's performance, energy systems, and fatigue accumulation. So she's got doubled up bands here. That's about 100 to 125 pounds of resistance at the top. We're going to move through it quickly. Take a big breath and stand up quick. Explode. Oh yeah, push hard. What we like about bands is you have to push harder and harder throughout the rep. There's 3. Let's get 3 more. 4. Hips hinge, stretch. Speed, squeeze. Now hold it, hold it, hold it. Now slowly come down. Now we're prioritizing performance and potential here, so we want to make sure we rest adequately between each exercise. Next, we'll be moving into a Turkish get up with the slosh tube, but let's take 5 long deep breaths starting now. It's always important to be mindful of your recovery and your rest periods between exercises, keeping the rest periods timely, but at the same time giving you enough rest to perform well on the next exercise. So here you go. So what Andrea is doing now is a slosh tube Turkish get up. The slosh tube is a very dynamic tool. It's filled with water, and although it only weighs about 15 pounds, it's much more challenging than a kettlebell or a dumbbell would be. Let's go eyes closed while you're doing these. So since we are working on proprioception, stability, and control, I like to go eyes closed on certain exercises such as this. That way we can feel it from within. And since Andrea has such great spatial awareness, then she makes this look like a breeze, although it is extremely challenging. And you see how that slosh tube is really wiggling around on her. That means she's keeping it pretty level. If the water's not sloshing back and forth, then it's probably all congregated at one end. And to see how well she's doing keeping her breath steady, she doesn't even have her mouth open on that. So that's great, because prioritizing her air intake is going to help as we move through the circuit. Things get more and more fatiguing. And so it's good to create a habit of complete breath control while you're in the beginning of such a dynamic circuit like this. You see that slosh tube moving around on her quite a bit. Very challenging for the wrist stabilizers, elbow, rotator cuff muscles in the shoulders. And control, resist, resist, resist. Nice, she does that better than I can, that's for sure. All right, Andrea, let's take 5 long, steady breaths. Although she's not very fatigued at this point, we still take a significant recovery to give her some money in the bank, so to speak, because as we move through these exercises, they become more fatigue-inducing by nature. We're putting in order and prioritizing exercises based on performance. Now we're going to speed things up a little bit and move into a power exercise with some shot put throws. Using a 15-pound slam ball, shot put throw focuses on rotational power from the ground up. It's a step back, step, step. Load the obliques and launch. Nice. I'm going to throw it back this way. I like to go right, left to keep it as fresh and performance-based as possible. See that quick step back to load the obliques? This type of rotational power is very closely related to a lot of sports, from tennis, golf, baseball, punching, swinging, racket sports, or even sprinting and running. Let's get a front view here. Really look at the feet with a quick step, loading the hips. All right, now we put that explosive power movement towards the beginning of this circuit, because for high power output, your nervous system does need to be fairly fresh. Next, we'll be going into another power exercise. Starting now, let's take 5 more breaths. Not all breaths are created equal, so when you only have a 5 breath allowance for your recovery, then you learn to make the most of it. Breathe as diaphragmatically as possible. and you learn to appreciate each and every breath. All right, a jump slam will come from the ground, and when within one swift movement, we're going to triple extend ankles, knees, and hips, jump in the air, and slam it on the way down. It's very explosive, but there is a lot of timing involved here. Open the hips up even more at the top. There we go, 2 more. All right, great. Triple extension like that when you're jumping is the most powerful movement pattern your body can produce. So it's fun to go aggressive on something like that. We're moving a little bit more controlled now. She's accumulating a little bit of fatigue. Let's take 3 more breaths. We're going to switch gears and slow things down. We're going to use the slosh tube once again for some overhead lunges. These are going to be very slow and controlled. We're working on full body stability from the ankles, knees, hips, all the way up to spine, shoulders, elbows, hands. Slow. Pause at the bottom. Slow on the way up. Pause at the top. Now let's pause at the bottom for a full breath in and out. Make sure the back knee grazes the ground but isn't resting on the ground. Always active shoulders, shrugging and elevating the scapulas. Let's get 2 more. Another exercise that's not about how heavy we're going, how fast or aggressive we're going here. It's about complete control. All right, good. So starting now, let's take 8 recovery breaths. We'll be moving back to the slam ball. And now switching gears, another type of lunge variation, a rainbow lunge. This is a much more aggressive lunge variation. It's more powerful. We're dealing with a heavier weight and we're working all 3 planes of motion. Rainbow lunges are a very dynamic lunge variation that take a lot of thought while you're executing them, because we're working the frontal plane with the rainbow going up and over your head, the sagittal plane lunging forward, but also the transverse plane as your torso twists, executing the rainbow portion. Andrea's doing a good job of keeping track of her recovery breaths, and being honest with your recovery periods when you have a breath allowance is one key factor to getting the right stimulus that we're going for in this type of a circuit, which is to perform well utilizing all 3 energy systems, all planes of motion, and different types of muscle contractions. As always, working on our breath control in a different manner for each and every exercise. Swing it up and over a little harder. Here we go, let's get 4 more. This one's meant to be a little more fatiguing, so we're doing more reps than on the slosh tube lunges. Good, all right, so that'll spark Andrea's heart rate quite a bit more. So starting now, 10 breaths, 10 breaths. Start to walk back. I got the bowl. So at this point, we have accumulated a good amount of fatigue despite some fairly generous rest breaks, and we're resting long enough to be able to perform the next exercise well, but short enough to keep the circuit timely and to challenge Andrea's ability to perform these well with some controlled accumulation of fatigue. You see here we've got 5 cones set up. We're doing something called an M drill. Let's start down there facing the water. Right after your 10th breath, let's go into this. We're gonna do 2 rounds through the M drill. What we're focusing on here, speed and agility through change of direction and acceleration out of every cone. All right, ready? And get it. quick and tight, quick and tight. Remember to pump those arms. Nice. Lean forward, lean back. Lean forward, lean back. Way to keep those arms moving. Long, steady breath now. In something this quick, it's very easy to lose control of your breath. We always recommit to diaphragmatic breathing. Good. Now, since the purpose of that and the next exercise, the last exercise, is a little bit more conditioning based, we're gonna mosey on over here and get right into it. So let's saddle up in this green band. We're gonna come down to these cones. We've got cones spread out at 15 paces, roughly 15 yards apart. And we're gonna do a 4-part band sprint where Andrea is moving backwards in a back pedal. Karaoke for some frontal plane motion. And then we finish with a forward sprint. So I'm gonna multitask, cameraman, and holding the reins. Ready? And go. There you go, quick and light, quick and light, quick and light. All right, I'm gonna swing around, face the water, karaoke. Watch the feet, crisscross. Back, front, back, front, back, front, back, front. Keep facing the water, and switch, go. Now this is the home stretch right here. We're about to go into a max effort band sprint, 15 yards, all out. I'm giving it to her, making her work for it. Get me there, get me there. Dig, 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 and good. All right, hop out. Nice work. How you feel?
Exhausted.
She killed it. We've been lifting heavy, building strength and power with heavier resistance training for quite a while. Getting stronger and more powerful allows you to express that strength and power and put it to good use doing other fun athletic things like this. So we always prioritize getting stronger because it makes stuff like this easier. The stronger Andrea gets, and I can see this after a few months, the easier it is to move weight quickly, like doing those ball throws, the slams, even the sprints. Where the more force you're able to produce, then whatever task we impose on you is a lower percentage of what you're capable of doing, making that task easier, even if it's conditioning based. So, a lot of fun. It's fun to get sweaty out here. And out.